Yesterday, the new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, gave her very first press conference where she announced that they're adding extra seats to the briefing room. Take a look.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give unqualified.
Oh, God, how boring.
Unqualified
Can they get
people
somebody there
jobs.
not so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy
So
can
I got
talk
a
right
question. So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Wait.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework.
No, she already lied. What do you mean do your homework? She obviously doesn't know what she's talking about. She's been in the press since like 2020 when Trump first ran. She graduated in 2019, and she worked under Kayleigh McEnany when Trump was running for president in 2020. And then she's been in the press ever since then. And she worked for Elise Stefanik, the U.S. representative in New York. So what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Do her research. It's not even her first job. This is what? This is unbelievable. Start the show with a lie. This is unbelievable.
There will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Mm-hmm. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because black people couldn't get into colleges, because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. You're saying about yourself that, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
And by the way, I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
How are you going to be pro women? How are you going to say all that and show it? You're not pro women. They are not pro women. You can't be pro women and say that she got this job because she's a woman. That's like the most insulting thing to say to somebody. So you're basically just throwing all of her experience, all of her achievements in the garbage and saying that she got the job because she's a woman. That is not. They clearly have no idea what they're talking about. Clearly. Wow.
But my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just
without
wanted to
us.
clarify that.
Yeah.
But on the issue of the new media, because I actually think this is kind of brilliant, and I think future Democratic White Houses should do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how people consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
What's to prevent those media influences from being only on his side?
Well, there will be partisans, but I think it was promising that they brought in Axios, which is mainstream, but then they brought in Breitbart, which is a right-wing outlet. And so some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right-of-center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well, and that it's fact-driven how they cover it.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. Yeah. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to stay.
Somebody need to get Sunny Hostin checked out, because she just says the crazy stuff. Where have you been for the past 8 years? Where have you been for the past decade? The corporate media is failing. They are failing because the viewers do not trust them. And what happens when they don't trust them? They leave. They go somewhere else. It's simple. No one trusts the corporate media because corporate media, where this journalism lives, this opinion journalism, these opinion pieces that these people do, the journalism is dead. The journalism in these corporate media outlets is completely dead. What they do is not even news. It's not news. It's just opinion pieces all day long. MSNBC doesn't even hide it anymore. It's essentially a talk show host just talking. We just call it opinion commentary now. That's basically what the mainstream corporate media is. It's just opinion commentary. If people want to watch opinion commentary, they'll literally just come on YouTube and watch somebody that does that. If you want to go watch news, people just go watch the news. So they don't want to watch the corporate media because the corporate media is not news. It's very simple. Sunny Hostin, really, like for real, where has she been? She's like, man, this is unbelievable. She is so lost. The media has been state-run essentially for the past decade. And they didn't complain about that at all. They didn't complain about none of the lies that they were making up. They didn't complain about the suppression of stories. They pushed the Trump hoax, the Trump-Russia hoax thing where he's a Russian spy. Then they pushed they suppressed the Biden laptop story. This is essentially, it's been state-run media by the Democrats for the past decade, essentially. That's basically what it's been. And the fact that they don't want other news outlets, alternative media, new media in the press room just shows the hypocrisy here, because they don't actually like diversity unless it's based on race. If it's based on race, it's cool. But if it's based on ideologies, then they're like, oh, no. We don't want different ideologies. They're so hypocritical. They're not really pro-diversity, pro-inclusion. They only care about that when it's based on race. But it's fine when they have a bunch of these corporate media, left-wing media in the press room, all with the plan to basically smear the right-wing president. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.